Hey, this is Victor Antonio with a DVD recommendation. My friend Harv Roman from WCGO Radio in Chicago recommended that I watch this DVD titled Chicago's Puerto Rican Story. How appropriate. I'm originally from Chicago, as many of you know, and my family's from Puerto Rico, but I was born and raised in Chicago. And I love this DVD. It's a great documentary about the exodus, so to speak, from Puerto Rico to the United States of Puerto Ricans. And it goes back as far as talks about the Spanish-American War, how, Puerto Rico was acquired by the United States and how it eventually became a commonwealth. One of the shocking things in here, I didn't know that Puerto Ricans were actually involved in World War I. And so it really talks about the history of Puerto Rico, how we became part of the United States, how we became involved in their war efforts as well, and how we became part of the U.S. fabric. But it also talked about some of the sad things, which is when we first got to Chicago, or the United States in general, some of the adversities we faced as Puerto Ricans. And there's a lot of things in here I didn't know, because I was born in 1963. So there was a lot of stuff that happened, all the way up to, let's say, from 1950 to the mid-1960s during the Civil Rights Revolution that I didn't really understand or know about. And I remember as I was going, into the 70s, I was becoming aware of some of these things. And that's why I really started to enjoy the DVD even more. Because once it started talking about the late 60s and the early 70s, I was like, oh, I'm starting to remember these things. And if you're from the area, you're going to see a lot of things that you haven't seen in a long time. Maybe because neighborhoods have changed. It talks about just, for example, the gentrification of certain neighborhoods. How, for example, Lincoln Park used to be predominantly Hispanic, but then it was basically taken over by the city. Gentrification, and so Puerto Ricans pretty much had to move out even further because they couldn't afford the rents and the taxes on the property. But then it talks about how we moved into Humboldt Park and what happened there. There was a large Polish community, Italian community there, and how the transition from that to Puerto Ricans moving in, and some of the disparities in terms of income and how we were treated in some of the dwellings and some of the disadvantages we faced because of our inability to be able to buy or control our own destiny. So it really talks about immigration. But at the end of the day, our immigration story as Puerto Ricans is really no different than the Irish, the Polish, the Italians, people who've come here early on. So it's really no different, but it's fascinating to see it from a Puerto Rican-centric standpoint. So I highly recommend the DVD. Again, it's called Chicago's Puerto Rican Story, a must-see. Thank you, Harv Roman, again from WCGO Radio for recommending it. This is Victor Antonio. You know where to find me, www.victorantonio.com. Take care. Get the DVD.